Hi, welcome to Retalk Podcast.
Hi.
Mona, if you could tell our viewers something about yourself, because they are not aware who Mona Jalota is, so we would be very excited to know more details about yourself.
Okay, so I started my real estate career in 2008 by representing a UK company that wanted to explore the Indian market. That was the beginning of my real estate career. The company was Dandara, and we came up with the concept of selling assets basically which paid for themselves. It was a very unique, interesting, kind of a product. So that started the journey in real estate. I was there for 2 years, and then I joined up with Knight Frank, which is another very big real estate company, and I was director residential for a long period of time. From there, I did a 1.5-year stint in Coldwell Banker, where we brought in the real estate franchising model to India. Post which I joined Colliers once again as director residential. And of course, my forte has always been, over this last 15 years, has been helping Indian HNIs diversify into global markets. And, keeping that in mind, in 2018, I launched my own firm, Krypton Global Investments. That's the professional side of me. Personally, I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. My daughter's in LA. She's 27. My son is 24 and he's in New York. They are settled in the US, and I'm a poetry enthusiast. I love art. I'm a graduate of JJ School of Art. So painting is a passion. And that's a bit about me professionally and personally.
Brilliant. Now, as you told, Krypton Global Investment, what were the initial challenges for you to set this company?
Yeah, so the idea of the company was very clear. Like, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and I wanted to have my own company. But people, especially, I think I'm talking from my personal experience, we take for granted the facilities and the ease of doing work when we are corporate employees. So for me, the biggest challenge, like I always say, that Krypton has been a very humbling journey, because when you're a corporate head honcho, you're actually giving work to people. You're actually you're on the other side of the table. People come to you seeking work, but when you're an entrepreneur, you have to go to people seeking work. So I think one of the biggest challenge was the shift in mindset, to understand that this is your company, and you need to keep ego out of the door and just be humble enough to go to people and say, yes, I have started this and I need your support to help me. So I think the biggest challenge was the little bit change of mindset that needed to happen. Plus, I guess the entire operational aspect of it, like when you're director in Colliers or Knight Frank, you snap a finger and everything is done. In your own company, I always say it's the chaprasi to chairman journey. You have to do everything by yourself. So yeah, I guess those were the challenges. The ideology, the idea, the business plan, the concept, nothing was a challenge. I think it was more to do with, how tough it is to be an entrepreneur when there's a lot more responsibility on your shoulders and you have to do things that you're not good at as well. Like in a job, you need to focus on what you are good at. In being an entrepreneur, like I'm not good at accounts, but I have to do accounts now. It's my own company. So that's I think a bit of the challenges I faced.
Did COVID impact KGI's growth?
Oh, absolutely. In March 2020, I remember I was in London seeking a nice high street shop with my partner Bali. And we were all set to open our London office. And then the news of COVID hit. And we kind of thought it's okay, it'll be done in a couple of weeks. And nobody knew it would last that long. But yeah, it had a huge impact on Krypton's growth. Our expansion plans halted in a big way. Also, the large team of 15 had to be downsized. And also it was a when you're at home for those 1.5 years during COVID, you oscillate between, I have everything I need, why should I work that hard, and going back to you struggle so much to be an entrepreneur, so stick with the journey. So yeah, I think in several levels it was an impact on Krypton's growth.
Okay. Most of the people in COVID era learned a new skill being at home. What was the skill you learned?
So actually, it's a good question. So initially, my company was only focusing on international real estate. During the 1 year of COVID, I actually got into citizenship via investment. I learned about the different programs. I actually launched a new website, and I also started my counseling degree. So I guess in that way, I made a little bit good use of the time. So during COVID, from one website, we went on to two websites, and we added in around 26 more countries for the Citizenship via Investments program. So that was the growth that happened during COVID.
Now let's speak about a little bit about trends. By looking at the data, what factors do you think makes a particular property or project stand out or attract investors?
I think if you speak from the Indian consumer perspective, we are being bombarded by projects from all over the world. The local developers, international developers, everybody wants a piece of India. I think what really stands out, as for me, what has worked in selling in the past decade is give them an asset with a very good location, let the financial projections make sense, let the leveraging make sense, let the investor feel that not only is he going to get capital appreciation for this project, but also the project is going to be completed on time. He is actually going to get possession when the developer says that he's going to get possession. So I think the three top things that I would tick mark while bringing a project into the market, which I feel would appeal to the investor, is developer reputation, location, and how sensible the developer has been on pricing.
I think that's a very good insight for the Indian audience. But speaking about the projects in India to international projects, what's the difference? I mean, if you'll have to just jot down, give a quick say on that.
There's just one major difference that makes international more, in the sense, a little more safe, a little more appealing. Domestically, developers can use the money that you pay them, and in India, consumers pay as much as 70% upfront, and on a subvention scheme plans and things, 70-30 is what we always hear. Consumers pay a lot of money upfront, which can be then utilized by the developer not only for that project but various other projects. This was the case before RERA happened. Yes. So I think that was where a lot of the consumer sentiment was affected, because money's got stuck, projects weren't delivered. Internationally, you only pay 10% upfront or a maximum of 20% upfront. The balance is payable when the keys are handed over to you. So I think that makes the biggest difference. That is the one major difference that comes in domestic and international products.
Do you see this trend, changing in India as well? Or future of real estate would see this in India?
Yeah, I think we must understand that RERA in India is a new occurrence. Worldwide, internationally, the real estate regulations and laws have been very stringent for decades. Yes. So I think the more mature the Indian real estate market gets, the more we get attuned to newer ways of doing things, and RERA gets more and more established. I don't see why the consumer cannot be this highly protected in India as well.
I think that's a valid point. What have been your observations on investment strategies between regular investors to new to market investors?
Regular investors, I think, are people who've been there, seen that, done it all. So they don't get impressed by marketing gimmicks, and they have their spreadsheets very clear. They have their objectives very clear. Also, I think regular investors are people who already own their signature home in their city of residence. They probably have another holiday home, and then they are looking at investments. So they are location agnostic. They don't want trophy locations. They want something that's going to bring them return. So I think that is the mindset of a regular investor. Whereas a new to market investor is probably somebody who has a home that he wants to, he's happy with in a city of residence, but he's perhaps looking for his first investment, which is a second home. So then he's location conscious, he follows the trend. Like right now, Alibag is in trend in Mumbai. So everybody who's a new investor wants a piece of Alibag. I think regular investors set trends, and new to market investors follow trends. And I think as their investment journey matures, then they come up with their own concept of what they wish to invest in and what is their goal and what is their objective. So it's only about being there in the market, consistently,
Last 5 years, do you think people are inclined or declined towards international property investments?
So the 5 years will have to be split in two phases. One was during COVID and one is post-COVID. I think during COVID, nobody was buying anything anywhere. People, of course, I've heard a lot of luxury transactions happen and all, but that was sentiment based and within the hyper locality of where you were living, where suddenly a reality hit you that maybe I may need to spend more time at home, so let me enhance my home. Post-COVID, yes, the trend of people investing internationally, especially in countries that handled COVID well, saw a huge upswing. Suddenly, people wanted to travel. The concept of life is too short came in. Everybody's spending money now. They want. It's just like the travel journey of the Indian consumer, and I'm speaking strictly from the Indian audience perspective. Earlier, Indians used to travel, to nearby places. Then, as they became mature travelers, Indians traveled to all the exotic places. They brought back cultures of those places within into their own country, and now they are looking at investments in those countries and what is the return that is coming in from those kind of investments. So I think, yeah, the trend is it's not a trend based out of COVID, but it's just the Indian consumer's curiosity to own a piece of the world rather than just own a piece of his own country.
Yes. What do you think is the best destination, international destination to invest for Indians?
It's a tough one. Depends on what you're looking at. So right now, UK is on a great deal. I feel like UK is coming with very, very lucrative prices. The market that was considered unaffordable for a long time suddenly seems affordable. And I strongly go by the concept that when there is a crisis, is the best time to invest, because the market's always cyclical. So if UK is facing a downturn now, there's in a short while it's again going to go upwards again, maybe in a few years' time. So when the crisis hits, you invest in markets. That's one strategy. The most popular destination is Dubai, of course, for Indian consumers. They are loving the life there. I've seen many of them opt for the golden visa and actually move based to Dubai, including myself. So I think it's become a very, very attractive destination in terms of the ease of doing business, the ease of life. If you can make a strategy here in the UAE where you can earn money, because these are expensive cities to be in, I think this becomes a very, very attractive destination for the Indian consumer right now.
Have you noticed any shift in investment preferences?
The trend was always to buy assets that held like a pre-leased asset, whether it was commercial or residential. What I'm seeing now is that people are getting more interested in the dollar term returns. And now even a regular customer is talking about, but the Indian rupee depreciates. So how can I shift a bit of my money in the dollar perspective? So I not only benefit from the currency depreciation, but I also benefit from, creating like a Forex pool for myself. So I think, yeah, the shift is in people really understanding that they need to diversify. They cannot put all their eggs in one basket. So I think I can see that trend happening.
And do you feel, eco-friendly projects and sustainable projects are adding value?
Absolutely. 100%. India is still gearing up to that. I think awareness and education is something that needs to be undertaken in a huge manner. In fact, at Tripton, we are working on an app currently where we are only going to be listing green buildings and sustainable projects worldwide. So that is the new initiative Tripton is working on to do our little thing to support the environmentally friendly projects. So I think sustainability is a huge factor with the millennial generation, the new time customers. I think they are very, very keen on supporting sustainability in any way they can. In fact, in countries like Germany and Sweden, Scandinavian countries, they actually are giving so many benefits and tax benefits to developers and builders who are constructing green buildings. And the concept of LEED rating, which has been very mature in large parts of Europe, is now making a very healthy home in India as well. So I think sustainable projects is a very, very key lucrative investment of the future.
That's great. Just forgot to ask you where all Krypton is present currently.
So currently we are present in 3 locations. Bombay is our head office. The business head in Bombay is Archana Bayani. UAE is a new initiative which I'm handling personally. Of course, I'm the founder and MD of the company. London is being handled by Balwinder Sagu, who is not only my solicitor, but she's also been my partner for the last 4 years in the UK. So we are currently present in these 3 locations. Very, very soon, maybe in the next 3 months, we are going to start in the US as well. And the fact about having these locations is not to have like a big grand corporate company across major cities of the world, but we do want a very niche advisory presence in all the 4 major cities of the world as we consider them today. And we are the face of the company. So if when a client comes to Krypton in UAE, he deals with me. When he goes to Bombay, he deals with Archana. When he goes to UK, he deals with Bali, and very soon in the US, he'll be dealing with Lena. So it's like a very nice, it's a very accountable, sustainable ecosystem that we are coming up with.
Okay. One thing noticed, women empowerment. Is there any incident in your life that changed or made you focus on this?
Definitely 2 incidents. I can recall them very, very clearly. So when I had met my first boss, Mr. Seamus Nugent, I had 0 experience in real estate. I was absolutely a newbie. And the concept of Mr. Nugent understanding a skill, he had that vision of seeing that, no, Mona, you're suited for real estate. I'm going to teach you what you need to know, and let's get on this journey together. And 15 years have gone by, and I still have Mr. Nugent's photo with me wherever I go, wherever I travel, because he's the one who set me on this journey. So definitely one thing that changed my life, which I understood that leaders do, is understand the potential in the person sitting in front of them. So recognizing that potential, I think, was a big key takeaway from my experience with Mr. Nugent. I think the second biggest incident that changed my life was my interaction with my mentor, and till date, my mentor and my advisor, and I go to him with every concept of mine, is Mr. Pranay Vakil. For those of you who are familiar with real estate, Mr. Pranay Vakil is like the father of modern real estate in India, as I like to call him. He was the first person to bring Knight Frank, an organized company, to India. He was chairman MD of Knight Frank for a very long time. And he is genuinely somebody who mentored me, took me under his wing. He said, Mona, he taught me all the procedures, the client handling. A large part of what skills, whatever I am today, are to do with the vision of these 2 gentlemen who understood that there is potential and we must encourage that. Another thing I think regarding women empowerment is that when I started real estate in 2007, there were just no women in real estate. It was a big, bad, unorganized sector where you were dealing with only brokers, and you were always having channel partner meetings at 10 o'clock in the night over drinks and etc. So there was a lot of hard work that has gone in making this sector completely acceptable to women. Me personally have always preferred and driven women teams. In Knight Frank, my team was all women. In Colliers, my team was all women. In Coldwell Banker, perhaps I had a mix of women and men, but largely I prefer working with women. In Krypton, we are all women. There's no man at all. So we need to bring in some diversity in including some of our male colleagues. But I definitely feel that women have it tough in most aspects of life. Some of us who are also running homes and our mums and want significant careers, we have to really, walk a very tough path. So I think the more we can do to encourage women into understanding that this is a one sector where you don't need investment, you just need good, solid, logical sense and knowledge of real estate market. I think the more women will be encouraged to see this and view this as a very, very respectable profession.
As a women entrepreneur, did you face any challenges?
Oh, tons. It's not 1 or 2. I think we'll run
So if you can tell us at least 2 of them, it could be common across all people.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it before as well that The challenge is, of course, you have a solid body of work to back you up, and still the challenge is to be accepted. The challenge is to understand the whole concept of funding. So the company still remains bootstrapped because I haven't managed to crack the code of funding. So we just thought, let's
That's
roll
a
up
hard
our
one.
sleeves and work hard. Yeah, just do the hard work. So I think we need, I think finances and women is something, a subject which is very close to my heart. And I'm working with some people to, kind of make women financially more aware, just as women are becoming more of key decision makers in purchasing homes. I think this whole financial aspect that scares a lot of women needs to be somehow addressed. How can women become smarter entrepreneurs? What kind of resources the government offers that they can make use of? What is really the infrastructure for a woman entrepreneur in India is something I haven't been able yet to figure out. But I'm on that journey, and once I figure it out, I'm going to make sure that many other women entrepreneurs also, have it a little more easier than what I've had it.
At Retalk, we encourage women. We have started a chapter called as WIRE, Women in Real Estate. One advice for the women in India or encouragement, what would that be?
It would be that get into real estate with a lot of integrity. Uh, Buying a home is a very, very personal decision, and it should never be looked at from a brokerage aspect to say that I'm doing a deal and I'm earning my money. It should always be looked at from an aspect that I am doing an energy exchange with people because I'm making their dream come true. Me evaluating a project, understanding the legalities, doing my best to ensure that they get a home that they want with as much less hassle as possible, and with all legalities and paperworks and all compliances being checked by me, is my endeavor to make sure somebody's dream comes true. So I would say that don't take real estate as a profession. We say, usually I've heard in the market people say, oh, real estate is a no-brainer profession. I'm sorry, it's not a no-brainer profession. It's a profession that involves a lot of brain, a lot of heart, a lot of integrity, and a lot of passion for accumulating knowledge. So my one tip to the women who are wanting to come into this category is understand your skill. Know what drives you. What is your passion? Is it commercial? Is it residential? Is it retail? First, understand what all you can do in real estate before you zero into what you wish to specialize in. And then just continue doing it year on year, year on year, year on year, and success is bound to happen.
And I think after this episode, a lot of women are going to follow you and would look up to you in terms of getting some real good advice. Early in your career, you have worked with one of the best international companies like Knight Frank and various other platforms. Has that helped you in your career growth?
Absolutely. I was extremely blessed. I mean, God absolutely wanted me to be in real estate. Uh, I always say Krypton is a humbling journey because when I started my career, I started right at the top. I was business development head for Dandara, and that was my first job. So I never looked back from there. It only went higher and higher from up there. And of course, it taught me a lot of responsibility because people assume that having a bigger designation is all about making good money and you're all set in the corporate world. But it comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of discomfort. It comes with a lot of going outside your comfort zone, breaking glass ceilings. So yeah, I wouldn't change the journey for anything, but the journey that happened with all of these companies has made me the professional I am today. And the biggest compliment is when anyone comes to work in Krypton also, they always turn around and tell me that, ma'am, we don't feel we are working in an entrepreneur organization because everything is so well organized and all the SOPs are in place. And all of this just comes from the solid corporate training that I got when I was a part of all these various organizations.
That's brilliant. Before we end, work-life balance, how do you manage your family and your work?
So for me, luckily for me, when I started my journey in 2008, my kids were already in high school and they were pretty much on their own and, getting there. And a large part of my career in India saw me through the phase of the children growing up, my parents, everyone has parents that are growing older. So by the time I finally took a plunge in entrepreneurship, my kids were both in America. I had lost both my parents. Like I felt like I had, the journey was planned for me. So in that sense, I didn't really have a challenge in the work. You always have a challenge in the work-life balance, but I didn't face the bigger challenges that women who are actually handling smaller children, homes, families, and working because they need to work. I was also privileged enough to work because I wanted to work and not because I needed to work. But the one tip that I would give, and this is something I gave to my entire team in Colliers as well, especially for the women, the one thing that I would like to tell them is that if they want a healthier work-life balance and if they want their family to support them unconditionally, then they have to start understanding that the concept of Indian women, that when they looked at their husbands and said that your money is my money, but my money is also my money, that needs to change. If you are sacrificing your time with the children, with your family, and your primary nurturer role that you are conditioned to play, if you're sacrificing all of that because you want a career and you want to fulfill your own ambitions, then you have to make sure that your career also benefits each and every person in your ecosystem. So please stand up. If you want equality, also take on equal responsibility, contribute to your home's finances, make sure that people you live with are enjoying the fruits of your hard work and labor as well. Keep money as an energy that goes around and helps you create a more comfortable life for yourself and people around you, and they will see how easy then the work-life balance becomes. Communicate with your children, communicate with whoever you live with, make them a part of your journey. Don't be the typical Indian women mentality that, oh, I'm going to do it all. Cut yourself some slack, admit to your mistakes. I think being authentic and being human is perhaps one of the biggest areas on how they can get a good work-life balance.
I think that's a brilliant, tip for women in India. Before we conclude, one more tip for Indian investors.
Indian investors, look outside the box. See what is available globally. There are amazing trends people are following to make money and also have fun. The whole concept of making money is also when you challenge yourself, you try something new, and it's interesting to see that whether you win or you lose. So treat it as a journey. Secure your family. Of course, I always say secure your family, your interests, everything first. And then try to keep aside some money where you can actually have a taste of the different products available around the world. The world is changing. Brilliant new investment avenues are coming. Just keep an open mind and, see where that takes you.
One investment which people should put in now, where Krypton is gaga about it.
We are definitely backing UK at this point. I know many people are going to have like a whole attitude on how I'm saying that, but genuinely, I'm telling you, I haven't seen prices as low in the last 5 years as I'm seeing now in UK. So you're getting beautiful property there, and like I always believe, it's a cyclical market. So my tip would be, look out for good deals in the UK. Put money there. Next 5 years, you won't be disappointed.
That's great. Thank you. And we are pleased to have you here. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Absolutely. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.